Tung Sahur, the only meme from the Italian brain rot era to still be relevant, is in fact not Italian but Indonesian. It's Indonesia's greatest export and extremely rooted in Indonesian culture itself. Like, you don't even know. Palm oil, Indomie, gay rapists. Man, get the irrelevant shit out of here, man. Nothing else matters when the triple T is who we're talking about. I mean, when was the last time something cultural from Indonesia had such a big impact globally? And no, Bali doesn't count. I wouldn't even call it Indonesian. When you can literally find a white dude for every 90 Indonesians, and that's only counting expats. Like, if we're counting tourism, then the numbers are in the millions, dude. Bali is pretty much an overseas Australian territory, I'm not even gonna lie. But I digress. Yeah, sure, triple T is definitely not the first Indonesian cultural feature to go global. I mean, for one, we have the swaggiest of clothing in batik and fucking Garuda Air, which is currently 4.3 billion USD in debt. Like, how the fuck? How does it even get to that point, bro? But anyway, triple T is the first time in modern Indonesian history that an Indonesian meme not only went crazy internationally, but also became ingrained into the brains of the next generation globally. Because there's literal kids on the other side of the world throwing temper tantrums over their golden triple T being stolen and still a brain rot. As stupid as all this sounds, I can't help but look at the sheer mental rot with pride and joy. Because I literally cannot recall the last time my country produced something as culturally relevant as triple T. Like, I assure you, these kids know more about triple T than they do about Indomie or nasi goreng, bro. Like, they pale in comparison to this brown bastard. But yeah, when I said that triple T was deeply rooted in Indonesian culture, I was not exaggerating. Like, for one, the first half of his name, Tung, is an Indonesian onomatopoeia, which comes from the banging of the baduk, which is this fat drum thing by the kentongan bambu, which basically refers to this bamboo stick thing people used to smack the fat drum with repeatedly, you know, before the second half of this name is proclaimed by the drummer. Now, Sahur refers to the Muslim tradition of getting up before dawn at like 4 AM or something to eat during the fasting period of Ramadan, or as we call it, puasa. And because they would not be allowed to eat for the rest of the day while the sun's up, they would have to get up at 4 AM pretty much every day. Otherwise, they would starve to death. And forgive me if that explanation was a little bit all over the place, because while I am Indonesian, I am not a Muslim. So all this information I'm telling you is literally sourced from my other Indo homeboys who are actually Muslim. But anyways, you know, regardless of traditional and religious reasons, because getting up at 4 AM is such a pain in the ass, which I'm sure you would agree with unless you're King Azule or some shit.
I wake up in the morning before the sun. I wake up to say hi to the sun.
Having the dreaded tungs in the street interrupt your beauty sleep is apparently top 10 worst experiences of all time. And for that reason, this conditioned fear of having to get up at 4 AM and eat when it's dark and cold and your eyes could barely stay open eventually morphed into this sort of irony that Indonesian social media turned into an inside meme, one that only Indonesians who experience the horrors of having to get up at 4 AM would get, you know. And naturally, some unemployed bum with too much time on his hands decided to AI generate a personification of this irony, which gave us this now iconic picture of Tung Sahur, which was purely one that was circulated around Indonesian social media and turned into this goofy ass ironic creepypasta about how triple T was a terrifying rural anomaly akin to that of Slenderman or some shit. Like, I promise you, this shit cannot be that scary. I mean, for crying out loud, its AI model is so clearly based on the most stereotypical Orang Jawa caricature that you can literally imagine. He literally looks like Bang Eko from down the street, bro. Like, everything about this dude screams Indonesian in the most ironic sense. But still though, despite how goofy he looks in this picture, this pic was generally generated to be an inside joke type of creepypasta which made fun of how annoying it was to get up at 4 AM in the morning. And if you're still unconvinced of the fact that this dude is supposed to be a terrifying creature, well, all you need to do is look at those monstrous fucking toes. Like, holy shit, they have no reason to be that massive, bro. But anyway, for a short while, you know, we had triple T all for ourselves. It was our niche little inside joke that we could send to our other Indo homies, because, you know, if we send it to someone free from the eternal suffering of being an Indonesian, they would generally be so lost. It's jarring given how now everyone's like familiar with him and best buddies with triple T, calling him Big T and shit. Like, bro, you don't know him like that. You're not even Indonesian. But of course, TikTok came along and had to ruin it by folding our beloved niche little stick into the, at the time, insanely viral Italian brain rot memes. And, you know, not only did the Big T become a member of the Italians, but he, alongside other Italian characters like Ballerina Cappuccina, you fucking remember that bitch, and Tra Lelo Tralala, became the the poster children of this whole Italian wave. And you know, being an integral part of this Italian invasion into meme culture naturally will lead to people assuming that Triple T, much like the other brain rot characters, is actually Italian, even though his face is the most Indonesian thing I've ever seen. Like, it makes no fucking sense. But you know what? It's not like our culture is as widespread, well known, or admired like other cultures in Asia, the Chinese and the Koreans. So I can't really blame them for calling Triple T Italian. But then again, it kind of fucking irks me that the most culturally significant thing we have ever created in meme culture is instead attributed to the Italians. Like, come on, they haven't been relevant since we found out that American pizza is better than that soft Italian baby shit. Okay, you know what? That was a joke. That was a joke. Okay, I like Italian pizza. I was joking. But anyways, for the longest time, throughout the entire lifespan of the brain rot era, Triple T was put against other Italian behemoths in the brain rot scene, most notably Tra-Lilo Tra-La-La. For some reason, they kept stealing ballerina cappuccina from each other. Like, what the fuck was even the plot here? What was the idea here? They were having like affairs on each other every fucking episode. But you know what? The point is, Triple T was definitely one of, if not the main character from this era. But you know, eventually, like most trends, the whole Italian brain rot wave finally began to die down and subside, with pretty much every Italian brain rot character becoming relegated to roles in AI children's slop content, including our boy Triple T. Yet, for some reason, he's still referenced to this very day. You know, not Tra-Lilo Tra-La-La, not ballerina cappuccina, not even that weird tree thing with the fat ass toes, but our niche little inside joke, Tung Sahur. Honestly, the best way to describe this relevancy phenomenon is probably to compare it to how the 6-7 meme morphed from something corny into something so drawn out and exhausted that it's honestly pretty funny in an ironic sense, because despite how Triple T is now no longer solely representing that annoyance people felt from being forced to get up at 4 a.m. every morning, it still represents that very same level of inherent irony it originated from. Now, granted, it's now for a different type of irony, one that also represents the pure stupidity and nonsense that was the Italian brain rot era. Regardless though, without being adopted into the Italian meme culture and hence becoming an integral part of the global brain rot meme culture, Triple T, like most memes, especially the ones that are AI generated, would have fizzled out pretty quickly. I'm talking about like maybe a month or two. Like, this new layer of irony gave it a second life, and now almost 2 years after its inception, Triple T is still standing strong as shining proof that Indonesians can make funny memes, one that transcends borders and languages. It's honestly beautiful, and you know, as ridiculous as this sounds, it is for that reason that I will forever be enamored with this meme as a whole, and it is why I'm proud of its creation and adoption by people and brain rotted kids across the world. You know, it is why, in my opinion, Tung Sahur is Indonesia's greatest export. Thank you for watching.